Hi, my name is Janaina Koenen. I'm an endocrinologist. I live in Brazil, and I came here to talk to you about cancer. Cancer as a metabolic disease. Everyone talks about cancer being a genetic disease, but that's not true. Did you know that about only 5% of cancers are caused by genetics? 95% are caused by lifestyle and epigenetics. So what you do to your body has an impact, a very, very strong one. What you eat, the nights you spend awake, the stress you cannot manage, and everything you eat can make you have a cancer in some years ahead. So let's talk about it in a different way. Let's talk about cancer as a metabolic disease, as a behavioral disease. When I began studying cancer, I began because my father had lung cancer. He was diagnosed as a stage 4 lung cancer in December, the 31st of December. So on New Year's Eve, he had a cough, he had thoracic pain, and as a doctor, I said, okay, tomorrow morning we'll go to the hospital, we'll do an X-ray, you must have pneumonia or something like that. And we found out this huge tumor, stage 4, already invading his ribs. He had lymph nodes in his axilla, and he had 2 tumors like embracing the vena cava. So it was very, very sad for us. He was a heavy smoker since I can remember. And the doctor said there was nothing much to do. He had something like a month to live, and that not even chemotherapy would be authorized by the health insurance. And we were left like alone. We didn't know what to do. And as a doctor, I felt very helpless because, I didn't know anything about cancer. And I was always reading about ketogenic diets and what diets could do for you. And I remembered, okay, I saw some papers about cancer, but I kind of didn't read them because I said, okay, I will never treat cancer patients as an endocrinologist. So I'm not going to read them. I'm just going to leave them there in my Dropbox. And that was when I woke up and I said, okay, maybe I should read those papers. So I read those papers and I found out that there was so much I could do, at least regarding diet, because he was like a heavy smoker. Okay, he stopped smoking, but he ate lots of sugar and sugar drinks and sugary yogurts. So I said, okay, Mom, maybe if we change his diet, maybe he can live a bit longer with us, maybe he can stay with us, maybe he can live enough for us to approve the chemotherapy, Who knows? 30 days to live, that's not enough. I want to be with him more. He wants to be with us more. Let's do whatever we can. So I started reading about ketogenic metabolic therapies and press-pulse therapies, which were published by Siegfried and in 2015. And by then, there was pretty much the first and the only paper I found. So I wrote Siegfried, I wrote D'Agostino, also in Florida, which is a professor who studies a lot about ketogenic diets, and they sent me papers. They kind of advised me, but since they're not doctors, they couldn't help me much in the prescription. So I started studying about some supplements. And then we started a ketogenic diet, and he wasn't dead in 30 days. Actually, we managed to approve the first chemotherapy session. So he did the first set of chemotherapy infusions, and he responded very well. Actually, he responded so well that he had 35 to 40% of necrosis of the tumor, which was very unexpected. They couldn't explain it, and they were very excited, and they said, okay, something's going on. I said, yeah, I'm doing this diet. And they said, okay, don't stop. And I was giving him metformin, I was giving him exogenous ketones and omega-3s and some other things. It was not much, nothing compared to what I do today, to the knowledge I have today. It was 2017. And he responded well, but unfortunately, since the tumors were very big and they were embracing vena cava, when they had this huge necrosis and this huge response, an expected response, as it was written on the reports of the CT scan, of the PET scan and of the CT, well, he had edema, peripheral edema in the lesion, and then he started to have syncope, pre-syncope, and he had loss of consciousness. He ended up in hospital, And he had to stay there for a while. And they began radiotherapy for him, which was very painful for him, very stressful being away from home. And eventually he asked to see the CT scans. It was the first time. Every day the doctors would come because with the diet, he lost weight. He was very overweight when he began the cancer. He lost 9 kilos and he was only 300 grams or 400 grams of lean mass. So it was mainly his belly that went away. He was doing Pilates and he was strong. And no one could believe, how could he be so well with a stage 4 cancer, with this huge tumor? No, doctors would come to see him every day in the hospital. And when he saw the CT scan and he saw the size of the tumor, he said, and this was like 4 months already, he said, oh, but I'm gonna die anyway. So what's the point? And then I said, yeah, you may die anyway. The point is that you are with us. They told you were going to be dead in 1 month. And then he said, okay, but then if I'm going to be dead anyway, he made this unexpected decision. He said, I want to stop the diet. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then I said, are you sure? Because some papers I read in melanomas as well, BRAF positive melanomas, when they stop the ketogenic diet, the tumors, they grew very quickly and they die like 3 months later. I'm not saying it's going to happen to you, but this shows that they were responding in a way. And maybe if you stop out of the blue like this, you might not respond very well. Not now that you have so much edema and that you had a response. But then he said, my father was always so pragmatic, so stubborn. He said, I want to stop. When he stopped, in 6 days, he lost something like 7 kilos. And then he lost all of it of lean mass, eating lots of carbs and fruit and pasta and potatoes. Some people said, okay, now he's going to gain weight because now you're giving him carbs, And it was the opposite. He lost all the weight and he died. And as much painful as it was for me, which it was very much painful, his oncologist, she told me, Janaina, you see, I see now that what you were doing had such a great impact. And when you stopped, he died so quickly, it couldn't be explained by his conditions only. So your strategy had to be working somehow. So I'm not saying that, everyone should do this protocol of yours. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that you should study more about it. Just don't drop it. Don't be sad because I know your father died, but maybe you can help people that are beginning, that are not terminal. Because when you have a stage 4 cancer like he had 1 month, he was diagnosed in New Year's Eve. He lived until May 9th. This was very unexpected, and even having a response was unexpected. So don't drop it. Study more about it. So this is me telling you why you'll see an endocrinologist talking about cancer here, and why it's so important to me that you see the real motivation I had, and why I believe so much, because it happened in my family. I saw the results, and now I see the results every day in my patients. And we're going to talk a lot about this here. Okay? See you.